Place to be Nation Wrestling. Welcome to the big episode number 50 of NWA Crock and Roll. Yes, this is your host, Sean Kidd, and a little bit of a different episode tonight. We do not have the full crew here, but what I would like to say is I would like to thank Dr. G, Colum, and Scott for carrying the last few episodes as they closed out May, and then kind of went into, we did a rewatch year of going back, I believe it was 1984 that we did, so really appreciate them holding over the last three episodes while I've been kind of busy with life. However, I am back tonight, and like I said, Dr. G and Colum are not here tonight because what we're going to talk about tonight required some in-person stuff, and my other co-host that is here with me tonight, Mr. Scott Shiflett, was with me in what we're going to talk about tonight. Scott, how you doing tonight?
Sean, I'm doing great. Most importantly, I am recovered after the weekend that we had at the start of the month from what we're going to talk about here. And, let's just dive right on in. Sean, explain to the listeners about this very, very special episode of Crock and Roll.
Yeah, it's a very special episode. I thought it would be very good to be the number 50 since it timed up well. And full of transparency, by the time this comes out, most of you, it's been over a month since this trip. But Scott Shiflett and I were both in Nashville. Initially for the Summerslam, where we're going to get together with a bunch of the other people from PTBN, and we went to WrestleMania together, so we plan to go to Nashville. But after we booked for SummerSlam, we got the special gift that we did not know was coming that we decided to go to, and that was Ric Flair's last match. So we are going to talk about tonight, Scott. We're going to cover kind of off, the Nashville weekend, so there's a lot to cover there. So, we had Friday, we had GCW. Saturday, we had SummerSlam. Sunday, we had Ric Flair's last match. But in between all that, we also had Starrcast. We had a lot of bars, a lot of drinking, a lot of things going on. So I thought it'd be kind of cool to kind of just walk through everything and kind of share that with everybody tonight. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's a great idea because, we went to WrestleMania, full disclosure. We went to WrestleMania weekend as well. And I don't know if it's recency bias. No, I think they're pretty even because I enjoyed WrestleMania a whole lot more than SummerSlam, and that weighs it a lot. But SummerSlam still was a hell of a weekend from the like you said, the GCW show to Starrcast and everything. But I can't wait to dive in. We're going to hit these days in order, Friday through Sunday, and we're off and running.
Yeah, so, again, we were both in Dallas. I enjoyed Dallas, but for me, I feel like Nashville, we'll get to that at the end. I mean, you live in Nashville, so you can add some context into some of this. So that made it easy. You live there, which is great. But yeah, so we're going to jump right into it. So Schiff, I didn't get in until Friday. You met up with a bunch of the other guys on Thursday, but we'll start with Friday since I got in. So let's start with Friday. So Friday, I met up with all of you at some rooftop bar, and then we ended up
famous Tootsie's Bar and Grill.
Yeah,
it's not some rooftop bar, Sean. So, it's a famous bar.
Well, here's the thing with Tootsie's. The beer was ass. I did not enjoy the beer, and the problem is, as Scott knows, I am a beer snob. I like my craft beers, right? It's like the running joke that I've turned into like kind of the snoot with this. However, there was Tootie's. Then we went to, what was the one we went to after that?
We went to, first off, if anyone here is a listener in Nashville, who also lives in Nashville, you will fully agree with me that you hate going downtown. And that's how I was. I hate going down to Broadway. But since I had friends here and people are visiting, that's where they want to go. So that's why I was in Broadway. I just want to make sure that's on the record, Sean.
That was very cool of you, and you were a fantastic host, and you led us through Broadway. So I got to give you mad props for that.
Yeah, yes. And actually, just a little bit, we actually saw some wrestlers Thursday night when we were walking around. Like Ciampa passed me holding his kid. Of course, I'm not an asshole and going to interrupt him because the kid was crying. Norman Smiley passed us. And I'm pretty sure one of the Creed brothers from the NXT tag team was there, the tag team champs. One of them passed, but to be honest, I really can't tell those two apart. I know they look completely different, but I don't know their names. Well, I just know them as the Creed brothers.
Yeah, and Dawson was staying at my hotel. Is that his name? Dawkins.
Yeah, Dawkins.
From the Street Profits was in our hotel, which was kind of cool. But I think JT actually got to meet him in an elevator in passing. But anyway, so then we went to Tootsie's. I forget again the middle one where I made you drink a Jack and a diet, and you didn't want one, but I made you drink one anyway because I'm an asshole.
We went that was Dirks Bentley's bar, which I can't name off the top of my head right now, but it was his bar.
But then the last two places we went to were what I would like call the money shot. So we went to what's his name, the country singer, Blake Shelton.
Blake Shelton's Old Red Bar, where
yes, go on.
It was midday, and we basically like shut it down. It felt like that's where most of the drinking got done with. It was like 10 people in our crew. Most of the personalities here on not only the No-So feed, but the Place to Be Wrestling feed as well. We had a lot of fun there. We were there for a couple of hours. And
I think we were there for a good 3 hours. So we got in there. They had good food. We started drinking. We did some shots. Then there might have been a few British women that sat down with us as we were trying to get one of our members of the BTBN Nation to hook up with women because he's not real good with women. And he shit the bed, right? I'm not going to name names, but he shit the bed, Chef.
Yeah, he couldn't seal the deal. It is what it is. Not everyone's a closer. We've all been there. After having a great time at Old Red, we're like, hey, we should probably go to
we got to talk about the bands too, though. Like, the band was amazing, and we all got and danced on the floor. Like, it was just a good drunk time for everybody. I thought Old Red's was amazing. So go on.
Yeah, the band, since Nashville, for all you listeners that don't know, Nashville, Music City, every bar has a different live music. It's totally spoiled me when I go to other places that have live music. I'm like, this shit sucks. Because, I'm expecting like somewhat decent music. Had some great music. We were listening. They were doing the Venmo gimmick where you Venmo them $20 and you request a song. That's what I did. Obviously, I had a couple of drinks in me because sober Scotty would have been like, no way in hell am I paying $20 just for a 3-minute song. But it was like a lap dance. I paid 20 minutes for that 3-minute song right there. It was just a great time. We all had a good time. All get together because like we communicate on this podcast and everything, but we've only seen each other in person like a handful of times at most.
Well, you and I have only seen each other twice in person at this point.
Yeah, twice, and it's just both been great times. And it's just it's like a family coming together, basically. And it's really awesome. Like, we all had a great time. Like, I can't put into words. Like, if there's an event coming up and you want to reach out to one of us to get a beer or something, just hit us up on our socials. We're all very inviting with it. But no, we had a good time with it. And then we went to Wannabes, which is a karaoke bar.
Amazing.
And I'm sorry, Sean.
It was an amazing bar.
Yeah, an amazing karaoke bar. And because we were like one of the few people in there, I think for every one other person that wasn't in our group that sang a song, we sang 3 songs apiece. I know there's someone has a bunch of videos of us singing like all these different songs. We were there from about 4:30 to about 8 o'clock at night. That's my wife Lynn came and met everyone because she had to meet all the people that I'm like a podcast with and talk to about. We had a good time with that. Me and her actually dipped out and got food while everyone else went back to the hotel to like.
Yes, I dipped out to go shower and to sober up a little bit because we had a long night ahead of us.
Little did we all know, Sean, that I barely me and my wife got dinner at Acme Feed and See, but we just got nachos because I was like, I don't want anything too heavy because, like Sean said, we have another show we have a legit wrestling show that night at 10:30. It was GCW, which if you haven't been able to attend GCW live, if it's in your town, go do it. It's an amazing show. My only negative I have with it is that it started at 10:30. The show almost went to 2 o'clock in the morning.
It was so here's the deal. So one of the things I love, this will be my second GCW show. I think yours too.
Yes,
that we've been to. And what I love about GCW is literally you're in it. Like, you go in and you buy these standing room only tickets, but they have these random chairs where they have open seats, but most of them are reserved. So you get these random 3 or 4 seats that are there. So what we do is we go grab the seats and we put them up in the front row, and we all stay in the front row. So the last 2 times, it's just like a really cool, like if you're a wrestling fan, GCW is so cool because you're like in it and you're in the action there, and the wrestlers are behind a curtain and they all come out and watch. For me, I got to meet one of my favorite wrestlers, Speedball, and I got a picture with Speedball, which is cool. But not only that, they get into it. Like, there is there was this one match where it's a great photo of they fight into the audience, and there's a lot of the PTBN guys in it, and one of them actually bled underneath one of the seats. The other one for me was a Joey Janela versus Psycho Clown match where they fought in my row, and they ran right by me, and there's this really great picture of me reacting to it. They just get into the thick of it, and you're in it, and you're in the front row, and you really like you're a part of the show. I mean, even to the point of where Conrad came out and they did this whole thing with Nick Gage, which was freaking awesome. Like, I can't say enough about GCW. I've become a fan, but I think I've become a fan because I feel like it's almost like the people's wrestling where you really become a part of it. It's ridiculously freaking violent. So if you're old school and like violence, you got that. If you like lucha wrestling, it's in that, the lucha match. And I'll talk about the other one at Flair's show. Because the lucha stole the weekend this weekend, but the lucha match there was freaking unbelievable. But Scott, GCW was just amazing.
Yeah, GCW was a lot of fun. And Shawn, it was actually me that took that picture.
Of me with me reacting to Joey Janela and yeah. It was
good.
And
it was just by happenstance because like I was taking a picture. I was like caddy corner from you, and I was just taking a picture of what was going on because earlier in the night, Speedball Mike Bailey, who we are big fans of, and who's actually Jambalaya Jake's best friend, he walked past us, and I was so close to him. Shawn was like, take a picture of him. I took a picture of him, and it was horrible. And Shawn called me a couple 4-letter words. And so, like, this was like my revenge. I was like, I'll take a good picture of Janela and so show Shawn. But sure enough, Shawn had great facial expression.
Well, and it was really funny because I see that picture and I look so old in it. Like, I look at him like, I look like I'm 80 years old in that picture, which is freaking amazing. Like, the whole freaking, like, the timing of that photo was pretty freaking amazing.
And like you said, Shawn, those matches were so much fun. Like, just the whole thing was like somehow we caught like a second wind as a group because I was looking around at us when like we all showed up there, and because
we were all hungover. We were like hungover, and we were all in bad shape. We were tired.
Yeah. Like I literally I had my wife stop at the gas station just so I can grab a Red Bull to drink at 9:00 at night, just so I can be like, I hope I can make it through these next couple of hours. And we, like, everyone's standing in line, like, we're all, like, people are just, like, sitting down, like, their heads are on each other's shoulders, just like, I'm like, oh, my God, no one's going to make it. But they had food here at GCW, which I'm shocked because I don't really remember them having it in Dallas.
Pretzel. I had pretzel.
We were able to get pretzels, like, hot dog and everything. Got, like, a drink. And we were revitalized. It helped that the matches were good for the most part. There was one match I didn't really like, which was, I'm not throwing any shade. It might have been just because I was dying. I was tired. It was the Masha Slamovich match versus Kevin Blackwood.
Oh, yeah, and it was so, like, all of us were like, oh, my God, where's the main event? Because the main event was Moxley versus Christian.
Yeah.
And we were all like, oh, that should be good. And then what's funny about that match is I feel like Blake just got, like, he got squashed that whole match. Like, I thought he might have had a chance of winning, and Moxley just kind of kicked his ass.
Yeah, Moxley beat his ass, and that was my second favorite match of the night. And I think I agree that our favorite match of the night was the 6-man tag team match.
Holy
which was,
shit, that was nice.
Black Taurus, Gringo Loco, and Jack Cartwheel defeated ASF, Commander, and Laredo Kid. That match felt like it could have ended like 5 different
Commander
ways.
has become my new favorite wrestler because at the Flair show he pulled some crazy shit too. I mean,
yeah.
Commander's awesome.
And like that was my first time seeing all of them. And you hear about in matches in South America, like in Mexico, and like they'll throw money into the ring when the match is so good. That's what happened at the end of this match. I had never seen anything like it before in my life, like people throwing money in the ring for tips, and this was happening, and it was just amazing. And it was my match of the weekend until Sunday.
Yes.
Which I go back and forth. What's that? But we're getting ahead of ourselves right now.
Yes,
but that did not end till 2:00 in the morning.
Well, we haven't talked about one of the underrated favorite parts of that. So there is there's this big guy. I don't know. Would you say he's about 400 pounds, Schiff, easily?
Yes.
So I mean, I'm a big guy too, so I'm not one to but he's a big guy. And he's very immobile. And I was sitting on the front row, and he was sitting 2 rows behind me. And, I mean, he had this very Southern accent. So Alex Zane, Nick Wayne, anytime there was somebody with the last Ain, he'd be like, Nick Wayne or Alex Zane. And then every time, and he got very annoying to the point. And every time new wrestlers would come out, He would get out of his seat. He would shuffle his big ass up to the front and push everybody aside. And literally, he would always have his ass right in my face, like every time. And he was very annoying. And not only that, though, like when the Mexican contingent would come out, he became, I would
very
say, borderline, insensitive, where, he'd say, taco, guacamole, taco, like this, your typical, like, redneck, I don't know, your redneck stigma of how you would treat someone from an international nature.
When you think of negative wrestling fans connotation, that is what you're going to pop into your brain. And it's very upsetting that it was even like that.
But we had a lot of good fun making fun of him.
Yes.
And we did it. I would do it during the show. Like, I would be like, "Wine," and I would make sure he heard me. I don't know if he did, but it was funny because everybody was laughing their ass off. And we continued to do that through the weekend with Roman Reigns, and we do it with everybody, so it was great. But yeah, he was annoying. There was another guy who was sitting down, like, we're literally right in the, like, walkway, and he would yell at everybody that would get in his way because he was pissed off and he shouldn't even been sitting where he was at. So yeah, definitely some old turds at the GCW show.
And another talk about is the three-way title match, which was Los Macios, which is Cicloplay and Medeo Estremo. I'm butchering names. When they defeated Bussy, Alley Catch, which I became a fan that weekend for obvious reasons, and Effie, and the second Gear Crew, which Mance Warner, who had a hell of a weekend, and Matthew Justice, which if you've never seen Matthew Justice before, he looks like the love child of Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins. It's the only way I can describe it.
Yes. So GCW was great. So we all went home. So the reason why Schiff and I were getting agitated is because Schiff and I had an early morning the next morning. So we literally drank all day with the GCW, got done around 2. I think I went to bed by 3. We had an early wake-up call because Schiff and I had to go to Starrcast. And the reason why we're going to Starrcast is because Schiff and I had a photo op with the 4 Horsemen. And so that was like the big thing for me and Scott is getting the photo with the Horsemen. We were excited. It was great. And so we get there, and first off, it's very disorganized. We wait in a line. Then we got told we got to go to wait in another line and get our bracelets and go back in the line for the Horsemen. So we get in the line for the Horsemen. First thing I see, Schiff, when we get inside the area where the Horsemen are supposed to be, I see Nia Jax with 0.0 people waiting to meet her.
Well, I'm not a big Nia Jax fan, but I will say what she was doing was they were doing that action figure thing.
The 3D, the 3D
where it was $400 to have your action figure with Nia Jax. Absolutely fucking not. I mean, I say that as someone who spent $150 for a picture of the Horseman and no action figure, but just no. Like, I look in where I'm podcasting, yes, I have action figures, but I don't want an action figure myself. And I don't want a Nia Jax for $400. And they were doing it with Lita and Mojo Rawley that was there. But I do agree with you, Sean, with the it was totally unorganized. Like, we would ask people and they would I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, even when we were in line, people were asking us, where do we go? Where do we go? And I said, I don't know. I don't know where we go.
And the Horsemen that we got to take a picture with, which we'll get to, I just want to say which ones, was Tully, Arn, Barry Windham, J.J. Dillon, Luger, and Flair.
Yeah. The only one missing out of the glory days would have been Ole, and then that would have been the perfect cap off for me because that's my Horseman right there.
He's just a difficult son of a bitch. So
that's why we love him.
Yeah.
So anyway, we get there, and then Daniel Bryan's there too. He's got a long ass line, so we get in line, and I think the Horseman, it was supposed to start at a certain time. Well, we kept waiting, an hour into it. There's still no Horseman, and people are starting to get a little pissed off and irritated.
AKA Sean.
Yeah, I might have started cutting some loud promos about, Flair's probably out fucking getting drunk, and typical Flair, right?
Yes.
So then all of a sudden, we see David Crockett going up to the set, and David Crockett wasn't even supposed to be a part of this, so I'm thinking in my mind, okay, they're bringing in David Crockett as a holdover. Well, after about an hour and 15 minutes, the Horsemen arrive. And so they're there, and we wait in line, and then they have these 2 separate lines. You have this line that is getting ahead of people with the bracelets they have on they're not supposed to get. So the people in front of us bitch, they get the line going. We finally get up to the Horsemen, probably an hour and a half into this. I'm pretty irritated because I'm tired. And literally it's a whole 10-second thing. What popped me the most, and this is on brand, as I'm walking up, Schiff, as I'm walking up, I think you were behind me. I hear Flair whisper over to David, how much are we getting paid for this? Or how much are people paying for this? And I started laughing to myself because he said it so loud, like he gave no fucks. The other thing I noticed is, and I hope I don't go to hell for this, Lex Luger in his black jacket and gym pants literally looked like they pulled him out of a casket after reviewing. But anyway, we got our picture taken. It was a great picture. But literally, it was like you're there an hour and a half. You walk up, 4 seconds of picture, you're done. So and it was a cool moment. Got to do the four signals on the set. We had David Crockett in the photo. So for me, it was a moment I'll never forget, even though it lasted literally 5 seconds.
Yeah, I agree. And like I got to tell, because I stood beside Tully and Tully and JJ, and I thanked them for everything, and told them they were the best faction ever, and like Tully was like, thanks, man, and like. Because I've done something like that with Flair before, and like he's just like on autopilot, and I don't have a vagina, so he's not trying to fuck me. But it was nice. Like the thing about Luger, I'm just happy he's alive, especially after watching that A&E documentary.
I'm not so sure he is. I think they were a weekend at Bernie's on him.
That might have been Magnum, but no, that like you said, Sean, it's a hell of a time. I got to print out my picture. I think I'm gonna put it in my office.
I am too.
Of all this. Yeah, it's on the to-do list. But we were not done at Starrcast because we had general admission for 2 days. So we decided we were going to walk around.
Yeah,
Starrcast.
So Saturday we walked around. There was only certain people there I wanted to meet. On Saturday, I don't think we took pictures with anybody at Starrcast on Saturday.
No, you did, Sean. How can you forget?
No, that was Sunday, wasn't it?
Not when you took a picture with your hero.
No.
It was Saturday with Ronnie Garvin.
Oh, how dare I?
How dare you forget, Sean?
I fucking A. So, so last minute, they added Ronnie Garvin to this thing, and everybody on this show knows I love me some Ronnie Garvin. And so basically, it's cool that, I go up there. There's not a lot of people there, but Ronnie Garvin, he looks kind of the same. He's a real short dude. And I go up, and I get his picture. He stands up, he shakes my hand. He goes, "You got a firm fist?" And I said, "Well, not as strong as yours." And he laughed at that. It was just a cool moment. And what I found out is, and what most people don't know, Ronnie Garvin is a certified pilot, but he doesn't do many of these conventions because he drives everywhere. And so it was cool to actually get to meet him and see him. I got to take the picture with the world heavyweight title with him. I probably held it in my hand as long as he did as champion, but it was still a cool moment. And I'll have another funny Ronnie Garvin story when we get to Sunday that I'll share about Schiff. But yes. So I got to meet the Horseman, and I got to meet Ronnie Garvin, who arguably are probably my favorite Crockett member, because him and Wyndham as a tag team we'll talk about on our show coming up. But getting to meet all my favorites in that one little morning, that's probably doesn't get much better for me than that as an old school wrestling fan.
Yeah, it was awesome, like, getting to see Ronnie, and, like, he still looks the same. Yes, his face is a little bit older. I mean, I'm not going to fuck with him, and thank goodness, because Sean was, terrorizing me the whole week up that he was going to offer Ronnie $50 for him to open face slap me.
I thought about it. But you know what was shocking about him? Like, he's so small. Like, I'm like double his height.
Yeah, I was really shocked. And who we're about to get to, who I met, because I got to take a photo with my favorite tag team of all time, the Steiner brothers, and I'm only 5'11", and I was taller than Rick and Scott, because I have the photographic evidence to prove it. And I got to take a picture with them. They were both super nice. I thanked them for everything. I made Rick laugh because I was like, my favorite thing to do on YouTube is go watch you beat the hell out of some jobbers, and he just laughed at that. They thanked me. I thanked them for everything. Like I said, they're my favorite tag team because
they were fucking pricey as shit, though.
Yeah, they were pricey as shit. No doubt about that. But I figured, like, who knows how long they'll be here. So I have a picture and an autograph, and they had different like pictures they could autograph, and I got them to autograph their like 1990 or 1991 like WCW where they have the varsity Letterman jackets, and it's just awesome. I need to hang that up as well. But it was nice to see them. We saw we saw Jarrett. We got to see Jarrett and Lethal cut a promo. That was Sunday.
No, I think that was Saturday.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't matter. But anyway, That was cool. But we'll get into Sunday in a little bit. But that day was really about you meeting the Steiners. We were trying to meet, I think Gargano, and that fell through, right?
Yeah, that fell through because I was able to pay the Steiners in cash, and I got up there for Gargano, and they were like, oh, you need to buy it on like online, and it was already sold out. And like they told me this after I waited in line for like 30 minutes. But I will give it to him. Like he had a pretty decent line, but he was spending like 5 minutes with everyone talking.
Yeah, he's a good dude. He seemed like a good dude. And then Candace and her purple hair was looking quite hotchy for Fresh Mom.
Yeah, and so was Chelsea Green. She was looking amazing as well.
Yeah, I'll get into Chelsea too.
And we also popped Matt Zach
Ryder. Let's talk about the Cardona pop, because we walked past Cardona. And you said I forget what you said.
I said the real NWA champion.
And he said, that's right. And
he said that's in the middle of a picture. He screams, that's fucking right, as we're walking by.
Yeah, that was great. That was cool. And then Chelsea, okay, so I haven't been real nice to Chelsea. I mean, I'm not going to say the comments I say in the chats about certain things, but she was looking quite hotchy. Like, she was very, very hot and looking smoking good at Starrcast for sure.
Yeah, she was. I agree. And as fun as Starrcast is, it's also like kind of sad because like you walk by like some wrestlers and there's no line.
Okay, so let's talk like Summer Rae, who that nose on her face. I mean, it takes me out. Tennille Dashwood had nobody either, and she was kind of cunty because people said hello to her and she kind of blew them off. So I mean, there's others too. Go ahead, Scott.
Davey Boy Smith Jr. had no one.
Oh yeah, that was sad.
He looked like he'd rather be anywhere else.
Yeah, he had nobody.
Like even Smart Mark Sterling had people, and like he had no one.
I mean, it's probably on brand. He is with the NWA, and I think they've only sold 6 seats to their pay-per-view that will have aired by the time people hear this.
Yeah, it's don't even get me started on that with their great value Fantastics and great value.
It's a whole nother subject. So,
but no, that Starrcast was fun. Also, like kind of sobering, like that scene in The Wrestler where they're trying to sell, like Greg Valentine and him are trying to sell like these old ass VHS.
What about Bully Ray? That was the one that popped me. Bully Ray had nobody at his table, like nobody. It was fantastic.
Yeah, it makes me wonder, and he was under the Starrcast banner, so it makes me wonder if like that's gonna be the next Conrad ECW pod.
In his leather coat.
Yeah.
In his black leather coat in 90 degrees.
Yeah, it was extremely hot.
Motherfucking Bully Ray. All right, so we get to Starrcast. The rest of the day, I think you and I went back and took naps. Then we met up with the group at, what was the name of the place we did our meetup before SummerSlam?
It was the Corner Pub.
Corner Pub, really cool place. They were playing wrestling music. And that's one of the things we do on these trips is we always have a meetup place that we find. And this one was really, really good. The food was great. We drank again. They played the music. The service was great. The food was great. So just bad shout out to the Corner Grill. I think they did a really good job with us, Scott.
Yeah, we had a great time. We got some food in us because it was going to be a long.
And I made you do Jack. I made all my children, Jake, Logan, and you all do Jacks with me.
Yeah, more Jack Daniels. Was it a shot or was it an actual drink?
No, we did a Jack and Mellow Yellow.
Yes, Jack and Mellow Yellow.
And I usually drink Jack and Mountain Dew. They didn't have it, so we did Jack and Mellow Yellow, and I thought it was pretty damn good.
Yeah, it was pretty good. And so we had those, and then we made the walk because for those of you that don't know, downtown Nashville, Broadway, they have this thing called the pedestrian bridge, and you walk over the pedestrian bridge, and there's Nissan Stadium. So we did that walk, and then a
long walk, very hot, uphill, which if 8 months ago I probably would have died, but since I've been on this diet journey, it wasn't as hard. What was the hardest part was I didn't realize it was walking up all the fucking flights that you had to get up to get to your seat at stadium. That was brutal.
Yeah, we were sitting in the 300s for the stadium. It was hotter than shit out there,
but great seats. We had really great seats.
Yeah, like we could see straight down. Like we were like center row of like the 300, and we could just look down and see like the match, like everything that happened. Shawn wasn't the biggest fan of SummerSlam. I enjoyed it.
All right, let's start off. So here's the thing. So this is the first Vince era pay-per-view. Now, I guess some people would say it's the first Vince era. Probably what I would say it's the first. Everything that was booked on the show was booked through Vince, so it was really Triple H managing a Vince show, right? So to be fair, let's be fair here, because Hunter didn't really officially take over till the next night. But yeah, I didn't enjoy it. The first match was great. I was all pumped up because Bianca and then Becky, and then they had the returns, and I know the returns definitely had to do with Hunter, but you had Dakota, you had Iro Shirai or whatever her name is, and then you had Bailey all come out, and the crowd went fucking nuts. And then unfortunately Becky got injured, but you had Becky do that face turn. That first match was great. That whole closing angle was great, and then from there for me the show just went to fucking shit. I actually called this show Butt Slam because this show was butt, and I know I use butt a lot in our secret chats, but I really hated SummerSlam. Like even up to the Street Profits and the Usos, they always had bangers. Their match sucked. Pat McAfee, Dallas, underrated, great theme song, great match with Theory. Now he has this great value theme that totally felt like a fart in church when he came out. Totally took me out. And then fucking Farmer Ted Brock Lesnar coming out on his tractor. Now, I will say what they did with the ring and lifting the ring and dumping people out, that was some badass shit. But ultimately, I don't know, man. I just thought SummerSlam was a big fat turd. I hated it. Absolutely hated it. But go ahead, Schiff. I know you liked it. So
yeah, I really did enjoy it. Like, you didn't talk about the Logan Paul and Miz match, which was actually a lot of fun.
Okay, yeah, that match was okay.
Yeah, Lashley destroying Theory, which, as you know, not to talk about too much current wrestling. Theory definitely has been de-emphasized since Triple H has taken over. The Mysterios match, we saw the return of Edge, which we all saw coming because they brought out like this big ass box for him to like levitate.
Yeah, that for me was stupid because you knew it was coming. It didn't really do much for me at all. Period.
But the worst match of the weekend was Liv Morgan and Ronda Rousey.
Oh no, I have one that's close to it for me that I'll share from the next show for Flairs.
Oh, sorry, the worst match of the night, because there are some bad matches over the weekend.
Oh yeah, that match was so incredibly bad, and it kind of exposed Liv a little bit because everybody was happy for Liv when she won it. And it was very clear in that match. I don't know what the fuck they were doing. They were rolling around on the ring, grabbing each other, and that match was pure shit.
It was a long 4 minutes and 35 seconds.
Yeah. So, all right. Anything else on SummerSlam?
No, just, it was I enjoyed it. Plus I love like live wrestling live wrestling in a stadium.
GCW was a better show for me. I
could see that
more than I did SummerSlam.
I could see that.
And again, it's probably because it was kind of like the feel of you're in it. I do enjoy big stadium shows, but I enjoyed WrestleMania a lot more than I did SummerSlam as far as the event. So
I know we're about to get ahead to Sunday, but do you think that because we saw like they opened the show with the big surprise, I just expected the surprises to keep coming?
Yeah, I think they pre-ejaculated.
Yeah, so I wonder if that was like a little bit of it as well.
It could have been, because I was disappointed from that point on, because at that point you had that big surprise and you're waiting and waiting and waiting for the next one, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I think the only thing they could have done, and this is always what we did. We did this in Dallas too. Is like, oh, The Rock's going to come out. The Rock's going to come out. If they had brought The Rock out, it probably would have made SummerSlam the best it could have been based. And I probably would have had a totally different opinion. But people, here's the reality. Do we really need Rock versus Roman? Is anybody really dying to see that? I mean, I'll watch it and I'll be happy about it, but is anyone absolutely dying to see Rock versus Roman at WrestleMania this year?
I mean, a little bit.
Okay.
Because I want it, but also want to see Cody win the title, which is weird.
Yeah, I would be more a fan of Cody versus. Again, we don't talk current day wrestling on here, but so then, so Schiff went home with his wife. We walked out, and it was me and Eric and my buddy Kyle. Kyle, come on, Schiff, you gotta laugh at that.
Killing me.
Anyway, Kyle. Oh, I'm sorry, Keith. So we got an Uber. We were waiting for an Uber. It was taking forever. So his taxi pulls up. Hey, you guys need a ride? I'm like, yes. Holy shit, Schiff. It was the death ride that if you loved like freaking fast cars, Fast and Furious, that dude ran every red light, cut around every corner, hit almost every pedestrian, and probably made it from like in 5 minutes from the stadium back to our hotel. And I feared for my life when I got out of it. It was exhilarating, yet the scariest fucking ride I've ever had in my life. He He didn't give a shit. He ran every fucking light and almost hit like 20 people. It was crazy.
That's the way sometimes you have to do it. And it's funny, while you were having that ride, I was trying to get out of a parking garage where a guy was having a meltdown because he didn't know how to use the ticket, like the ticketing system. Like he put the ticket in the wrong way, and he would like freak out. And like of course it's the car like right in front of me as I'm trying to leave, and I'm seeing like smacking his car. So I'm like, all right, let me go check out. So I go and he's like, I'm like, hey, what's going on? And the guy like, gives me like a smart ass answer. I was like, I thought it was his credit card not working. I was like, dude, I will pay for you just so you can leave. Gives me a smart ass answer. So I turn around and say, all right, if you want to be an asshole, you can figure it out on your own. And just like turned around and like walked back to my car, like, and then walked to another car and was like, the dude just can't figure it out. So then he had to call the like security to come help him. They get him out. Shawn, I go do my ticket. Immediately works. So it was all user error on this guy, and he like was freaking out for like 15 minutes, like smacking his car and everything.
In all honesty, that probably would be me too in that situation. How old was he? Was he an old guy?
Yeah, and he had his kids in the car.
Yeah, it's pretty on brand. Us old people don't like it when stuff doesn't work, and we get very, very angry.
But it's just funny him smacking his car. Like that just gave me so much joy.
Yeah, that's funny. All right, so let's get to Sunday. So most of the PTBN crew went home Saturday night. So the only ones that were remaining were me, you, Jambalaya Jake, and my buddy Keith. And so,
we got brunch Sunday morning with Logan.
Oh, fuck. How did I forget? I'm so sorry. So we were going to go to Starrcast again. But before then, Logan was departed in the morning, so we went to brunch. By the way, the other thing I didn't bring up about Nashville was a lot of bachelorettes, a lot of women.
Yes.
A lot of drunk women. And so we went to this breakfast place. What was the name of that place for brunch we went to?
Nashville Jam Company.
So anyway, really cool place. Kind of like, I forget what I had. It was some kind of, I think it was pork belly biscuit or something. It was fantastic. The food was amazing. It's outside. You sit at picnic tables and you see all the hungover bachelorettes show up with their sunglasses on. That was quite fun. And watching my two sons drink their chocolate milk.
Yeah, I mean, that's my go-to all the time. Like, I'll straight up order chocolate milk, and I'm like, I don't care. You may think I'm 8, but I just want the chocolate milk. And, like, we had a nice brunch, said goodbye to Logan, and then I drove everyone to Starrcast, and that's where Jake got to walk around Starrcast and do some great people watching. And that's where you met two of your current day heroes.
So I got to meet my past heroes. So I got to meet two of my current day favorites. I got to take a picture with Josh Alexander, who's the Impact Wrestling champion. And he let me hold his belt, which was awesome. And then I also got to take a picture with my favorite female wrestler of today, Deonna Purrazzo. So that was very cool for me. You didn't take a picture with anybody that day, right?
No, I didn't. And I think you're forgetting one other person you took a free picture with.
Oh, yeah, well, I'm getting to that. I was going to get into that. I was asking if you had anybody. So then...
No, not that day.
So then I went and took a free picture. I went up to the table, and Baby Doll was there, and I got a picture with Baby Doll. Now, also while we were there, we actually met a couple guys that had listened to our podcast before. So that was kind of cool, too, because I had the NWA Crock and Roll shirt on at Starrcast. So that was cool. So... here's some highlights. So here's a couple of highlights. So Schiff had to go do number 2. I believe it's number 2, right, Schiff?
Yeah, my stomach had turned on me after
breakfast and chocolate milk,
breakfast and a whole weekend of drinks and eating like shit.
And the drinking wasn't done yet, by the way. So anyway, Schiff goes to the bathroom, and lo and behold, not far behind Schiff, Ron Garvin goes in, and they're gone like a long time. Like, literally, I think he was in there for 10 minutes with you, and Jake and I are standing outside like, oh, Jake, hands of stone. He's like making jokes about you and the hands of stone in there. So you said you heard him talking in there while you were taking a shit shift. So what was Garvin talking about while he was taking a leak?
Yeah, some guy started talking to him while I was like taking a shit, and he's like, hey, Ronnie, how you doing? And he's like, I'm doing good. He's like, you still got the same number? And he's like, yeah, I do. And he's like, all right, I'll send it to you. And I guess Ronnie has a flip phone because I hear it like flip up. And he's like, here, give me your number. And I was like, if Ronnie Garvin starts giving out his number, I'm 100% going to start like putting it in my phone just to give to Shawn because you're such a fan. And sadly, I think he just gave it to the guy. But like I walk out of there and like they're like, Ronnie Garvin's still in there taking a shit. I was like, yeah, because like he's explaining like his cell phone reception. He's like, yeah, I still live out up in the mountains, which, you know, I don't want to get on Ronnie Garvin's bad side. He's, you know, we've heard him threaten like to come to Tully Blanchard and Ric Flair's house in the middle of the night and kill them. I'm not really trying to have him do that to me.
Yeah, so that was cool. And so then right after that, we see Ricky Morton coming out after a hot tag taking a shit. So and what was Jake's line cracked me up and goes, oh, look at wrestlers trying to be normal people and we're making fun of them. I thought that was great because you're like, hey, look, Ricky Morton's taking a shit and so is Ron Garvin. And Jake's like, yeah, normal people do that. That kind of popped me a little bit. That was funny.
Yes, so I can say I've taken a shit with Ronnie Garvin and Ricky Morton.
Correct. The hot tag.
Ricky Robert Gibson was not in the corner like that famous story.
Yeah, we made the comment Ricky Morton made the hot tag to the shitter. That was the funny part. So anyway, so it was kind of a cool. We saw other wrestlers, and it was cool. I mean, Starrcast, it's a lot like WrestleCon if you've been to WrestleCon, but it's kind of like literally you could walk through Starrcade and be done in like, Starrcast to be done in like 30 minutes, right? It's literally like in and out. So Starrcast was cool. Conrad did a good job putting all that together, and that was nice. So then we go to what was the place of we went to go drink beer? What was the name of that?
Bon Elrod's. But before we get to that, we spoke to Hal Haney, who does some art.
Oh yes,
not Hal Haney. I can't think of the name right now, but I have a couple of his art pieces on my wall, personally, of like wrestling with comic book inspired.
Yes.
And we also spoke to one of the wrestling comics guys, who I'm trying to.
Well, they were cool, and I bought a pretty cool picture, a painting, almost drawing of the Horseman at the Crockett desk, which was pretty badass too.
Yeah, they have so much like cool stuff, and like you're a big comic books fan, like, you know, it's just not just like old wrestlers and current day wrestlers. It's also
so basically they take comic book covers and put wrestlers into their theme or shows based on famous comic covers, which was pretty freaking awesome.
Yes, the Headlocked. Let me get his official name. Anyone who reads the Headlocked comic, I actually had Michael Kingston.
Yes.
We had like a 15-minute conversation with him. He, you know, I bought his first comic, which, you know, I'm sorry I haven't read yet. It's on the to-read list. As Shawn can attest, I have a bunch of comics to read. But no, it's just a lot of fun. I suggest you check it out.
All right.
Be prepared to spend some money.
Yep. So then we went to Van Elrod's.
Yeah, which is like a German bar. We had a couple drinks. We ate again because we weren't fat shitting enough. Obviously.
Pepperoni, pretzel, and beer cheese. Holy shit, it was good.
That's Shawn's favorite is the beer cheese pretzels. And then we decided might have been time to start heading to Nashville Municipal Auditorium, which is where Flairs Last Match was. And this is also where Steamboat and Flair had their match in 1989, where WCW used to run the Starrcades, where TNA Impact ran those shows after Huntsville and before they went to the fairgrounds. So, you know, we got some wrestling history there. It's also kind of a rundown auditorium, if we're going to be completely honest. The new one now is Bridgestone. But, you know, we get in line. Well, we don't even wait in line because we go do a shot at some restaurant, at some bar.
Yeah, so we go do a shot, and I'm irritated at first because I'm like, oh, we're parked so fucking far away. It's hot. We got to get in line. So here's what happens. We go do the shot. My buddy doesn't do shots, and he was sipping his, so I think I got a little agitated at that. I think I even kind of called it out. I think I was kind of a dick about it. Wasn't I a dick about it, I think?
A little bit, Shawn. Just a little bit. Just
yeah. You know, Shawn is very impatient. What you'll learn about Shawn is he loves everybody, but in the end, if he's irritated, you're going to feel his wrath.
Yes.
I mean, that's just the reality. So anyway, we walk down. Jake stays behind and does more drinks. And the rest of us walk over to the auditorium. And literally walk right in. We don't even go through the line. We just walk straight in. And I don't know how that happened. I have no idea.
I told you, you just got to act like you know where you're going. And I said, just follow me. And we walked straight in, got through the security metal detectors while there was this long ass line out there. So I don't feel bad.
So anyway, we walked right in. We sat at ringside first, and then we decided to go into bleachers. And then we had a really, really good we had a good seat. The seats were really jammed together, so we actually pulled them all out, and then we were more comfortable. And so we're in the seats, and then the fun kind of began. It's they came out, they had the old set there, they had some promo videos with some favorite like Cody and all these people wishing him well. Then Jim Crockett, and by the way, I have not watched it on Fight yet, so I have not watched the commentary yet, Scott. I don't know if you have or not, but I have not.
Absolutely not. I figured like with the SummerSlam and WrestleMania, I'll never watch those because I was there live. It's like one of those things I don't need to relive. It's weird, I know.
So anyway, then we get some pre-matches on the show, and I got to look it up. And so talk a little. It
was the Bunkhouse Battle Royal.
No, it was the Chinese guys from the dojo.
Oh, yeah. Ren Narita defeated Yu Uemura. We completely missed this match. Well, at least I did because I went and needed more food.
No, well, I was there. I mean, I did watch the match. It was actually pretty good. For a dojo kind of opening, you don't know who the guys are. I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah, watch me look back in 5 years and like both of these guys are like the top stars in New Japan or something.
Well, it's like that wrestler. I call him Takeshita. I don't even know who he is, but somehow he just showed up everywhere, and now he's this big famous Japanese wrestler, and I have no idea where he came from.
Yeah, he's pretty awesome.
Yeah, so then you get the pre-show battle royal, which Bully Ray is in it, and it's like you're all pissed off because you feel like, man, they're gonna book fucking Bully Ray. By the way, before that we had the Frank the Clown shit with the Samoan Jacob. What's his name?
Yeah, Jacob Fatu came out and beat his ass. Yeah,
so that was pretty cool. But then Mance Warner won the Backhouse Battle Royal because GCW invaded, and what they did at the GCW show is Nick Cage came out and cut a fucking awesome promo on a very weirdly dressed Conrad wearing some very ugly shoes, and cut a promo, said, we're going to take over and we're going to show up at the show. And then Conrad kind of back to the back, kind of sauntering like that guy that said Wayne because he was about as big as that guy. But yeah, so that was kind of cool. And so when Mance Warner goes to accept the belt buckle and they're all on stage, would you like to say what happened for you? Because you had another really cool moment with Nick Gage.
Yes. So as anyone who listens to GCW, MDK all fucking day. And they were walking up there, and I screamed out. It was like 30 feet away. I screamed out MDK and Nick Gage, who after that weekend, I would probably run through a wall for him because he's just so weirdly charismatic, especially after that promo with
Conrad.
With Conrad.
Yes.
He screamed back at me all fucking day. Me, Jake, and Sean lost our minds with that happening. As like there was like two couples in front of us doing like a double date, had no idea how we're all screaming MDK all fucking day like we're lunatics because they had no idea who GCW was because we kept screaming GC Dub.
Well, we kept yelling Nick fucking Gage, and we were going crazy. It was great. And then so when he said all fucking day, it popped us, and then my buddy Keith was sitting at the end because he had no idea what just happened. So that was pretty on brand because he didn't really know. He doesn't know GCW, right? He was at GCW with us. He enjoyed it, but he doesn't really know. Like, it's funny how quickly you pick up on GCW once you've been to two shows. You totally get into it. It's like a cold almost.
It makes me feel like this is what ECW felt like in the mid-90s.
Yes, and I think that's why we're all latching on to it is because, for me, I'm an old school ECW guy, but this one, GCW, I get it. It's like the 2022 ECW. It really has that vibe, and Mance Warner eliminating Bully Ray popped the whole arena. I think Mance Warner might got one of the biggest pops of the whole freaking night, actually.
He really did, and it started the show off with like great optimism for me personally.
Like hot. It was a hot opening in that battle royal with Mance Warner, and the fact that we had just seen him Friday night and he won it, I think that made it for you, me, and Jake. And by the way, this whole time Jake keeps going and getting jacks and keeps trying to fill me up with alcohol because when we went to Tampa a few years ago for Dallas, I might have been a big cause of one Jake having some issues because I filled him up with a lot of beer and a lot of alcohol. So he's trying to get me back. Unfortunately, he failed because I could handle my alcohol.
I don't know. It sort of worked a little bit.
Okay, it might have made me have a good time and maybe had some shit takes on things I enjoyed way more than I should have if I were sober, by the way. All right, so our next match was the Motor City Machine Guns versus the Wolves. Not a terrible match, not a great match. The Wolves to me are kind of outdated, especially I can't really get into Eddie Edwards because he's kind of a shell of himself and he's kind of looks like he's injected himself with some helium. And the fact that he's going to be main eventing Bound for Glory against Josh Alexander to me is kind of a letdown too. But I thought Davey looked really good, and the Machine Guns always look good. So the match was okay. I didn't think I'd probably give it maybe 2.75 to 3, but I think it could have been better.
Yeah, I agree. And it was also like this is going to sound fucked up, but once the show started proper, everyone was just like, all right, let's just roll through these matches. I want to see Flair possibly die.
Well, not me, because I had some I wanted to see. So we'll continue on in that. Then we had Killer Cross, who surprisingly showed up on Raw literally a week after this event.
Yeah, SmackDown 5 days later.
Yeah, SmackDown 5 days later, taking on Davey Boy Smith Jr., who was all alone at the Starrcast table, and this match sucked.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
A 5-minute match, but it felt like 30.
Yeah, like they should have just been like two big hosses hitting each other with their man meat, but I don't know. I've never been a big Davey Boy Smith Jr. fan.
Okay, in all fairness, he is one of the NWA World Tag Team Champions with Douglas Williams, who is awesome. The Chaos Theory Suplex, you know that, right? He's very old, but they are a pretty good tag team when they tag team together. Unfortunately, they're in the NWA, and being the NWA World Tag Team Champion today means a shit.
Yes.
So the next match was Jonathan Gresham against Alan Angels. Takeshita.
Nick Wayne!
Nick Wayne. And, of course, me, you, and Jake were doing the wagging the whole time. I bet if you actually went and listened to the commentary and watched the show live, I bet you could hear us. I wouldn't be surprised. But Jonathan Gresham wins here. And what was one thing I didn't mention about Starrcast, we also saw Jordan Grace, who I didn't take my picture with, but we also saw Jonathan Gresham, and this was right after he had lost the Ring of Honor title, and I saw him talking to some fans about, the rumor was he was going to quit wrestling, leave wrestling for a while, and I actually heard him talking to some fans at Starrcast. Well, I got to make some decisions. I don't know what I'm going to do with my life, so I think that's legit. He was really telling them, I really don't fucking know what I'm going to do at this point.
Yeah, he seems like, I don't know him personally. I wonder if he just lost his passion after, just everything that's been going on.
Tony Khan took a big fat shit on him, so.
Yeah.
Anyway, and he's got a lot of heat. He quit Twitter because of all the hate comments. So wrestling fans, don't be dicks. Just don't be dicks. It's okay to have fun and make fun, but don't go on their Twitter and say you suck when you're short, because he's actually a really fucking good wrestler.
Also, just not only wrestling fans, just don't be a dick.
Well, I'm a dick sometimes, and sometimes it's justified.
But not to random people on Twitter.
No, you don't be dicks to people on Twitter. That's just stupid. Anyway, moving on to the next match. This one surprised me, and I wish they would kind of do something with this, because I feel like if they actually did something with this, maybe even the current NWA, it makes sense. So they called them the Four Horsemen, which to me was a disgrace. Brian Pillman Jr. and Brock Anderson with Arn defeated the Rock and Roll Express, which they weren't. It was Ricky Morton and Kerry Morton with Robert Gibson keeping one eye on the action. You see what I did there?
He was keeping one eye on both sides of the ring.
So Pillman Jr. and Brock Anderson won, which I thought was actually a surprisingly good match and a surprisingly good showing from Pillman and Brock Anderson. I actually, if they actually formed a team and had Arn manage them, I'd be okay with that.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. Brock is doing nothing in AEW. Pillman is going nowhere with the Varsity Blondes. They've already taken Julia Hart away from him.
Yeah, so have Pillman turn on the fucking douche, have him join Brock and Arn, and then have them form a team, because they were actually pretty good in this match. And won.
They can be a lower level. Yeah, they can be a lower level to mid, and they got pretty good crowd heat and everything. I mean, I'm a Brian Pillman Jr. fan because I loved his dad so much. So, I'm sure if that's built in with me, I'm sure it's built in with other people as well.
Yeah, and honestly, I thought Kerry Morton and Ricky Morton actually held up their end of the deal pretty good too. Ricky Morton, so for me, that might have been an underrated kind of gem match for me, because I was surprised how good I thought it was.
I agree. And I was a little upset. I thought I was going to get to see an Arn spine buster, but,
Yeah, we got robbed of that. The next match for me might have been the actual match of the whole fucking weekend, the Luchas. So it was Ray Phoenix, Bandito, Laredo Kid, and Black Taurus. Ray Phoenix wins, but Jesus Christ, I was sitting next to Jake. I'd actually gone out to take a leak, and I came back, and I actually stood in the aisleway to watch this match. These fucking guys just absolutely destroyed anything else that was on this show. They were freaking nuts.
And the crowd, which, had basically been on and off, asleep and dead, woke the fuck up for this match.
Yeah, it was. I have to say the two best matches of the weekend were the two Lucha matches. There's no doubt about it.
And Bandito, Laredo Kid, and Taurus was in both matches.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. So if you're going to watch any match, go find us. I'm sure it's on YouTube free. The next match, I was looking forward to this, and I was kind of disappointed. It was Josh Alexander versus Jacob Fatu, and it should have been a really good banger match, but it ended in a no contest because Cardona jumped in with Brian Myers. And then we did get a nice little moment there with DDP and a diamond cutter on Cardona. So that was kind of cool, but the ending sucked. The match was actually starting to pick up when it ended, so I was a little disappointed how quickly it just kind of fell flat for me.
Yeah, it felt like we were finally getting going, and then but it makes sense from a political thing. You had MLW, even though they're barely above NWA, they're actually getting ready to do a partnership. They actually have an MLW title match on the next NWA pay-per-view, so I think they're going to start working together. Well, there you go. Two 6 and 7 wrestling promotion in the United States combining to make 6.5. So there you go. Yep.
So then the next match was the Briscoes, who, we like the Briscoes. We saw them in Dallas.
Them boys
were great. Unfortunately, they were taking on the Von Erichs, Marshall and Ross, and this match was complete butt. Just fucking terrible. The Von Erichs are awful. Awful.
Yeah, it should have been a squash, and it went a whole lot longer than it was. But I will say, I said
it actually was kind of a squash, but it was a bad match. Really.
Yeah, it was bad. And I know the Von Erichs are in MLW, so there you go. And I will say, the crowd, it was electric all night, but we were about to hit its fever pitch.
All right, so the next match.
Nope, this is a late letdown match.
All right, so for me, this is probably my biggest disappointment of the whole entire weekend. So you know how I feel about my Deonna Purrazzo. Yes. She's my honey. Jordynne Grace, I'm a fan of. I like Jordynne Grace. She's not on my train anymore for reasons I will not disclose on this show, but I like her. And Rachel Ellering, who's kind of what's the peg that doesn't fit in the square? Rachel Ellering. This match sucked. There was a lot of botches. Just fucking, I was so upset with this match. I feel like if it was just Jordan and Deonna, they might have been pulled off, but even Jordan and even Deonna, all of them were botching shit left and right. And this is probably the biggest disappointment match. This is 9 minutes of just botch fest shit, Schiff. I was so unhappy with this match.
I mean, it didn't help that Ellering really fucked up her ankle 30 seconds into the match.
Yeah.
And then Deonna and Jordan, which I'm not a wrestler, so when shit goes bad, I don't know, but they had deer in headlight look, and it was not looking good because I thought she legit broke her ankle, and I think she had a high ankle sprain, which is someone who's had one of those. That fucking injury sucks.
But I would tell you, Rachel Ellering, when she was in Impact, she was a botch queen there too. I was never a big Rachel Ellering fan, so. But anyway, probably my big disappointment of the weekend. So now we go to the main event. All right, so here's the deal. I don't care what anybody says. Jeff Jarrett had done a hell of a job. I mean, pretty much solo selling this show. From the attack in the parking lot with Lethal to the ridiculous amount of blood that Flair spilled in that promo to his entrance in this show. I popped so big for his entrance in this. It was just really cool. He came out to his old TNA music. He was fucking shouting with the fans and arguing with the fans on the way down. I don't care what anybody says about Jeff Jarrett, because we all agree Jeff Jarrett is shit overall, but you got to admit, he was all in on what he was doing with this on his way to the ring, and he fucking popped the crowd. And I don't think you can deny that Jeff Jarrett was over in Nashville, Scott.
Oh, he was
way over.
He was way over in Nashville. He was the babyface, in my opinion, if you watch the lead up to the match.
Which I forgot to mention at Starrcast. He had a huge long line. And I asked people what the line are for, and they go Jeff Jarrett, and I said, "Oh, I'm sorry," and I walked away.
And then he screamed, "Ain't he great?"
I said, "Ain't he great?" and I walked away. That was a dick. That was a dick move. So anyway, I think you agree. His entrance was pretty freaking 5-star.
Oh yeah, he was fighting with people, and the one guy was had to be physically restrained by security, which was Doug Dillinger, which I probably could have got around.
I forgot about mentioning him. Doug Dillinger looked like he was Death on Wheels 2, just standing there. It's hey, he's our security guard, but he really didn't do much because GCW got by him. He didn't really do anything. It was pretty bad. He was pretty bad. So, but anyway, so then we get to and you know what's interesting? I feel like Andrade, who is Flair's son-in-law, kind of got thrown into the stick because he was an afterthought in this whole thing. Lethal and Jarrett, they helped build everything in this. Andrade was just kind of there, and I felt kind of bad for him because he was just there.
Well, I will say, means no offense to Andrade, but it's the most I've ever cared about him since that match versus Gargano in NXT.
And he didn't really do much to make us care about him in this either. So then Flair comes out. Flair comes out in his robe. He's got the WCW World Title on, and then he takes the robe off, and he's wearing. Was it you who made the Purple Rain comment? Someone made a Purple Rain. Was it you?
I think it was Jake.
All right, so he's got this purple shirt on, obviously to cover his body, and on the back it says Nature Boy. And when he goes up to stand, he is right in front of us on the ring apron. And I mean, the picture I took of him, he looks 90 years old. His hair is balding. His legs aren't even there anymore. It's mainly varicose veins with a foot. He looked really old. Now, what I will say is, you go into this match thinking, okay, Flair's going to go in and he's going to do Flair stuff. I honestly got to give Flair some credit. He did some stuff. Did he look great doing it all? No, but it's about what you expected. What I did not expect was this match to go 27 minutes. I did expect Flair to bleed all over the place, which he did. I did not expect him to fake a heart attack, which felt very stupid to do. And if you listen to Conrad's pod, oh, sorry, I got Raw on the background and when Trish just came on, by the way. Anyways, still looking good. Now I'm distracted. God damn it. No, anyway, I'm going from Flair old man to Trish. So anyway, long story short, he does Flair things. Undertaker comes out for this match and is watching the match, and he stays for the whole entire show. Jarrett actually gets into a fight with Megan, Conrad's wife, at ringside. Listen, I don't care what you say. The match is not great. I was reading some reviews. I saw one review gave this match 3.5 stars, and I laughed my ass off. For sheer pure entertainment value, for the fact that you had Bret Hart, Undertaker, Mick Foley at ringside, and at the end, which popped me, you find out he goes to a strip club and Ric Flair passes out like Elvis on the toilet. I mean, what more could have you wanted out of a Flair last match, Jeff? What more could have we got?
I mean, we were all expecting it. I mean, he didn't have to do the thing where he acted like he had a heart attack. But. And
by the way, you also found out he passed out twice during the match as well.
Yeah. But it was a hell of an experience to see live. I feel bad for the people that bought it on pay-per-view because it probably wasn't that great, but just the atmosphere, like the crowd was legit as well. I guess because it was like such a small, like the auditorium's like kind of big, but it's like mid-size. So like seeing everyone lose their mind for him coming out, like he had them eating in the palm of their hand like it was 1986.
Yeah, nobody cared about Flair's age. He had people in the palm of their fucking hands.
Yeah, he did like Sean said, a crime promo at the end, which Flair on brand, but it was just amazing. I'm shocked that we didn't see David or Charlotte show up. I've read that Charlotte was in the back. I guess David was like, please just keep me away from wrestling.
Well, I think from the WWE standpoint, they wouldn't let her appear. Undertaker can do what he wants because he's the Undertaker.
Yeah.
And what's funny is, as of this recording this today, we found out Jeff Jarrett got fired from his position at WWE, and they replaced him with Road Dogg, which kind of
the real Double J,
which kind of cracks me up. It's like, oh, hey, you know what? We'll let you do the Flair show, but we're not going to tell you we're going to fire you 3-4 weeks later. It's pretty funny.
Yeah, I wonder if that has to do with who's running the company now, type deal too.
I don't know, but so overall, great weekend. The Flair show was absolutely worth going to. There were some bad matches, but it was from a sheer like nostalgia thing. It was fantastic. I was a little disappointed some of the other horsemen didn't show up. Like Tully could still go. We saw him in AEW. So, but I didn't expect to see Luger wheeled down, or I didn't expect to see Wyndham down there. But to your point, I think they could have done more with the horseman aspect on the show. I thought. Especially with Arn, maybe doing a spine buster. I thought, you know what? Why couldn't Arn come down and do a spine buster on Jay Lethal? Don't tell me that wouldn't have popped the fucking arena hard. Right?
It really would have. But then, like, you go back, like, you hear these stories of how, like, Flair's not really tight with Arn and Tully anymore. So, like, they were just there to make a buck. True.
So, again, they were there to make a buck, but you know what? It would have that probably would have capped it off for me if the Horsemen were really more involved in that whole thing.
Yeah, if like the music hit and like, Barry, Tully, and Arn ran down or like wheelchair down.
Yeah. So again, just from the weekend, from Friday to Sunday, it was a hell of a run for me. I know you weren't at the Tampa, the first Mania after or during COVID. That was an all timer for me. But I think if I would have to go all in on the big events I've gone to, because I've been to New York. I've been to Orlando. If I were to go in on big events and how I felt about going to some big show, I think Nashville, just for the sheer guardrail to guardrail experience for me, is probably one of my favorites. And plus to get to hang out with cool people. Like we give each other shit. And people say, oh, you're out, like you're with your pod buddies, your online friends. No, they're good people to hang out with. I do consider them my friends. I absolutely have a great time with them doing pods, and I have a great time with them when we're live and in person. So Nashville, definitely a 5 out of 5 experience for me, Schiff.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Like we've been communicating daily for almost 3 years now. So it's like, yeah, it's real friendship, and everyone had a great time. Like there's no like, petty drama or anything. It's just like, oh, everyone got super drunk. That's all it is. And we somehow rallied.
Yes. So that updates our weekend. We just want to give you an overview. We thought that'd be a good way to do episode 50, to kind of bridge a gap a little bit, something different instead of doing a normal watch. So Schiff, thanks for joining me on this little excursion. So in 2 weeks, when we come back, we're going to do a little bit of restructuring. So we had started doing these like Crockett years and going back and watching old matches. We're going to stop doing that because we're going to jump right back in, and we're just going to stick to our timeline starting after this episode. And we're probably going to do some stuff different. Like I'm probably going to scale back a little bit of the watches in terms of what we watch. But what I'll do is at the beginning of each pod, I'll kind of run down other things that happened that we don't necessarily need to talk about, or maybe promos we don't need to talk about. Like one of the things is you can always get a Ric Flair promo. You always get a Dusty promo. Eventually they all kind of run into each other. So for me, I was like, you know what? Let's pick out the really good ones. Let's pick out the matches. We'll still watch matches. But really kind of streamline it a little bit to kind of make it an easier watch, so we don't get into those situations where we have 4 parts in May or 6 parts in April. So we can maybe keep, months down to 1 or 2 episodes, and that way we can get through our watch quicker. What do you think about that, Schiff?
I think it's a good idea, and it'll probably be easier for everyone to listen to as well. I know it'll be easier to record for.
It'll be easier to take notes too, because the notes on these, just disclosure, the notes on this show kill me, because a lot happens. It's like, you want to make sure you cover everything, but there are bullet points that you can just touch on and say, hey, this happened, this happened, this happened, just to keep people in the know of it happened without really having to go into that level of detail. Like if you think about the big feuds like Flair, the Horseman, TA, Nikita, those are going to be the Midnight Express. Those are the ones we're going to really focus on. And maybe you won't have to hear so much Wahoo or Jimmy Valiant. Like I think I did some watches ahead of time, and I think I scaled back the Wahoo and Valiant quite a bit because what do? They cut really bad promos, and their feuds don't really change. So, that's kind of my thought.
Breaking Callum.
And they're breaking Callum. So here's what we got. So we're going to do June part 1. So our next episode, we're going to do June through June 14th. June will be 2 parts. And just a peek under the tent. So one of the things we get a Magnum TA and Bob Geigel segment, which is absolutely amazing. We get the first look at Flair interacting with one Lex Luger in Florida. So you get a sneak peek of that, because that'll be our main event when we get to the next battle of the belts in September. It'll be Flair versus Luger. So they kind of plant the seeds here. We get the debut of the Warlord, Schiff. Did you know the Warlord was in the NWA 86?
Can't say I did. Well, he was on Powers of Pain, right?
Yes.
There's that later.
Yes. And by the way, he's managed by Baby Doll. So we'll talk about that. And then we'll have a territory spotlight from Japan. So we'll jump right into June. It'll be 2 parts. And I'm hoping we'll have the whole gang back together for the June watch. I'm not 100% sure because, just like me, I missed the last 3 episodes. A lot of us got things going on and traveling and work. So we're going to do our best to keep the group together. If we can't, we'll go back to a group of 3. And we'll just go from there. It's kind of hard because when we started this podcast, I never thought we'd be at episode 50. But we also were in COVID times that we had the time to do these recordings, and then real life starts and you get back to work in normalcy. So trying to schedule this stuff hasn't exactly been the easiest.
Yeah, it's, just with life coming back to normal, like you having jobs, like people get promotions and, just life happens. So thank you all for listening. I joined halfway through, but I was a listener from day one with it, with I think the first podcast was 4.5 hours, and it took me a little bit, but I knocked it out. And then they switched to the twice a month one. And then I joined the team, and it's been a hell of a run. I can't wait to see what happens next.
Yeah. So with that, Schiff, anything you would like to plug before we go?
No, just check out all the pods on NOSO, the Pop feed and the Wrestling feed. And that can be found on Twitter at Scott_Shiflett.
All right. So I am going to plug a couple things. But number one with a silver bullet. So we have a brand new pod that Schiff is on me with. And I know I just talked about, I've left all these different pods, but here's something that I have been wanting to do for a long, long time. and I'm doing it with Schiff, I'm doing it with Logan Crossland, and I'm doing it with Matt Souza. And it's called 7 Months of Danger. And I've always been fascinated by the time frame of the Dangerous Alliance and how short their run is. It's literally seven months. So it's called 7 Months of Danger. It's on the No-So feed. And we chronologically go. It's a 20-episode miniseries, so it's got an end date. It's on twice a month on No-So, every other Sunday. And we're going to walk through the Dangerous Alliance. So the first episode, by the time you hear this, I believe episode 2 would have dropped. So the first one, we looked at Halloween Havoc, which is a lot of fun. Episode 2, maybe not as great on the journey to get there. And we're actually recording episode 3 and 4 this week as of this recording. So I would say we got some great feedback from the first episode that aired. Shift. People loved it. A couple of the wrestlers kind of liked it. Bobby, who was it? Somebody responded. I don't remember. Oh, Missy Hyatt responded to something that we tweeted. But a really good fun listening. It seems like it's got some audience there. And the fact that it has a 20 episode run, most episodes will be between an hour and 90 minutes. That shows a lot of fun to do and easy to do. So, and the fact that it has an end game makes it even better for me because, again, it's only going to be 20 episodes. So any thoughts on 7 Months of Danger?
It's been a lot of fun. Like episode 2 was a little rough from a wrestling aspect, but we made up for it with our entertainment, I believe. But episode 4, we're covering Clash of Champions 17, which
so that's really where
that's the best tag, one of the best tag matches I've ever seen.
By the way, you tweeted that out. I think you tweeted it out, and Dustin Rhodes actually gave you a loved your post about it.
Yep, gave me a like.
Yeah. So and it is. So you know what? Here's the other great thing about this pod, and again, it kind of I like WCW, so the fact that I get to do this and the fact that we do that one. You also get to see the not so good of 92 WCW. So yes, you get the Dangerous Alliance, but you also get the Patriots. You also get PN News. You get PN News. You get Tom's Inc. You get 1992 Freebird. So it's not. So we'll only cover things that the Dangerous Alliance involved in, but a lot of stuff they're involved in, and also have some of the pain of 92 in it, which I think has been a kind of a cool discovery as well, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, we're seeing the good and we're definitely seeing the bad. Looking at you, Firebreaker Chip.
Chip the Firebreaker.
Yes.
And also listened to learn that Logan Crossland was not a big Medusa fan, which I think was my first episode self-discovery of shock that he was not a Medusa fan. That was interesting. I thought everybody liked it. Very upsetting. So, all right. So, and then the other thing is the other main pod. Before I was a Mark, where I go back and watch matches prior to my wrestling fandom. So those are this and those two are my main ones. I will be dropping in on Highway to the Impact Zone. That should have aired by the time you hear this. So at least I will have made my, that's probably like once a quarter appearance on that. So I'd love to be on it more often, but I try to jump on these pods the best I can. YouTube Roulette, which is also a favorite I've missed too. So unfortunately for those pods, I think it'll be a timing thing. And when I could drop in, I'm certainly not going to be a regular. It's probably like special guest star at this point, like Heather Locklear on Melrose Place.
Yes, special guest star Heather Locklear. Special guest star Shawn Kidd.
That's right. Anyway, Shift, so thanks for joining me. I enjoyed Nashville. We might have another show that we're going to here in the next few months, so we'll see if that pans out. But definitely was a fun time. I love these wrestling weekends. I think we should do more recaps because one of the things I discovered is we go on these trips, but not many people recap. It's kind of like stayed in. The only reason why we probably did this show is because one, we're at episode 50, and two, it was Flair. So anyway, Great time. Go out of your way to kind of check out some of the stuff. I mean, I did watch some of the panels as well. The Horseman panel I watched. You're not going to hear anything you haven't heard already. And that's the thing about Starrcast. If you get the panels, chances are you've heard the stories 100 times. You just get to watch them talk about it. So will we do another Starrcast again? I don't know. Another interesting note, though, Schiff, before we go, is that Conrad did copyright Southwest Championship Wrestling, which
Tully Blanchard.
I mean, we got possibly not announced yet Royal Rumble coming to San Antonio. Do you think Conrad's going to pull another one out of his sleeve and have something going on that weekend?
I think so. I think he's addicted to it now because they sort of ran out of Starrcast stuff with the AEW. But if they're able to do this, then I think it'll be.
Do you think anybody would be interested in a Tully Blanchard last match?
No.
See, that's what I'm saying. So I'm curious what he pulls out of his hat this time because, I mean, who's Southwest Championship Wrestling? I mean, I mean, I could go back and, there's stuff. Mills Mascaras is in there. Manny Fernandez is in there. So, but all the wrestlers, I just don't. Tully Blanchard is the only one in that I could think could probably go at this point.
Yeah.
So anyway, I still think we should have Jimmy Valiant. Jimmy Valiant's last match I'd probably go to just for the sheer disgustingness of it. Jimmy Valiant, listen, what does he really got to do? He's got to turn around and smack his hands a little bit and maybe drop an elbow. I mean, really, what does he have to do?
That's also very true.
And call everybody daddy, brother, Paul Jones,
Coming after Paul Jones.
Yeah, just go out there and maybe he'll attack Nick Wayne. And then we can have Valiant versus Wayne. Anyway, guys, we will see you on episode number 51 in 2 weeks. And we will start June part 1 of 1986. And we will see you then.
Covered, but no ref. No ref.
Oh, my God. David?
He's got the guitar. Told you he wasn't going to try to play a song.
Absolutely. When he came to the ring with it, you knew damn well what was going on.
Oh, yes.
He wants Jay Lethal to pick up Flair, and he is going to end this for good. The 16-time world champion in his last match. It cannot end this way, folks. Please.
No. Come on,
the greatest of all time.
Do something.
Andrade is there. Jay Lethal gets whacked. Jeff Jarrett is out. What? Somebody threw him. Did Conrad Thompson throw him knuckles?
No, he wouldn't do that.
Yes, it was. Conrad stood up.
What?
Son-in-law and son-in-law together.
Come on, Rick. Come on.
Helping their father-in-law.
Get it. Second up. Let's go.
Those brass knots came from Conrad. Come on. Oh, God.
Come on, Rick.
Okay. Rick is up. Family. As they say, blood is thicker. You know what? Boom! Yes.
But no referee.
The dirtiest player in the game, Andrade, is trying to get Mike Chioda. Chioda's down. I need another ref.
Come on.
Well, hell, let's get somebody out there.
Get a referee. Come on. Don't stand there.
It's Dave. It's Super Dave.
All right, Dave, come on.
Dave Miller. The figure four is on. 1, 2, 3.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, your winners, Andrade and the Nature Boy.